Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by FPL Salah to preview Game Week 31. Abdul, you wildcarded last week. I also wildcarded, as you guys can see on screen. Didn't go that well. I've just plummeted in rank over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, still both of us have got Palmer to play this evening, so who knows? Something could happen there. How was last week? How was your wildcard? We're going to have a look at it, of course. We're going to talk about how Abdul got to his final draft and locked in those 15 players. And then we're going to also talk about how your team might be different for those of you on a Game Week 31 wildcard to Abdul's team. So, yeah, first of all, mate, how was your team from last week?
Yeah, so I think I was happy with the wildcard team. I've only got about 43 points at the moment, so it's not gone too well. I think I had a double Arsenal defence, Gabriel injured, Maria 94th minute clean sheet wipe out, so I didn't start off the best.
Yeah.
And then like my Palace assets, Palace didn't play well. Both my Palace, three of my Palace assets blanked, and captain blanked. Isaac and Marmoush were the only really kind of players who gave me a better rank, and I've got Palmer to play today. So yeah, not the best start, but if Palmer can get a nice wee haul today, then I might just end up in a small green arrow.
You never know. You never know. Okay,
Mm.
so if you were on a wildcard this week, I've got your team up on screen.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gabrielle is the main issue there that wouldn't be in your team. But how different would it be other than that? I want to say one thing as well, that I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're not going to get much more info after wildcarding in Game Week 30 compared to Game Week 31." And I know it's only one game, but it's always better to wait. If you're in between two things, same with transfers. It's better to wait unless you really want to get aggressive, because anything can happen in any football game. And I know that sounds a bit sort of like hindsight bias sort of stuff, but it is. I have said that for the whole time I've been playing fantasy. Like in any given game,
Yeah.
anything can happen, and any player can get injured. So yeah, I feel like people that waited, fair play to you. I couldn't wait. I don't think you could really either. But yeah, how different would your team be now to the one you wildcarded?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't I totally agree with what you said there, right? The only players I'd have different now, right? So this kind of backs up my thinking of I definitely should have wildcarded in Game Week 30, regardless of the info, right? Because the only difference now would have been, I guess, Saliba for Gabriel, who's injured. We've got a bit more information on Saka as well now. He came off the bench and scored, so he might, start all the games now going forward. So maybe like, him instead of Palmer. But the rest of the team, I think, would be pretty much the same because you're still going to be probably bench boosting in 32 or 33. So that's the only two players. We actually done a draft earlier on, like for Game Week 31, just seeing what differences there would be. And they'd only be the two players I would change. Possibly the goalkeepers as well, but there's not much difference there.
Yeah.
But the reason to wildcard in Game Week 30 was because, first of all, like, obviously it's all team dependent, but I think for you and for myself, I didn't have any Palace players. I didn't have Isaac. I didn't have Salah. So this was a really good week to kind of a good entry point for those players. I mean, look, it didn't work out well, but Palace had Southampton, who are the worst side in the league. Newcastle had Brentford at home, so obviously you want Isaac for that fixture. And Liverpool had Everton at home, who obviously isn't Everton are a decent defensive team, but you still at least expect Liverpool to score a few goals there. Salah to get something. So I think, of course, yeah, the more you wait, the more information you get. But you also got to weigh that up with, what on the other side as well. You had all those kind of pros for wildcard in early. And really, if it wasn't for the Gabriel injury, I think Isaac's a doubt as well. And that's just unlucky. That can happen in any week. But if it wasn't for that, right, just say, an ideal world, it wasn't for Gabriel and Isaac, the team would be exactly the same as Game Week 31. And yeah, those who waited, like, the reason for waiting was, for these things like injuries. But I think for the guys who waited, they've got quite lucky with the amount of injuries we've had in one game week. Like, Gabriel, Isaac. And I think who else was it that there's one other player who got injured as well, who's quite popular. I can't remember now, but look, those are two injuries who were popular wildcard picks. But even saying that, look, so Isaac is a doubt now, but even that makes it harder. That makes it hard for game week 31 wildcarders as well, because he's
True.
going to be a doubt going to the game week. Do you pick him? Do you not? That could really backfire. You go without him, he starts. He scores. He's probably going to be the best captaincy option for game week 31 if he starts. and then he's got a double in 32.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm overall, sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but I'm
No,
overall
that's
happy with
good.
the decision to wildcard.
No, no, yeah, I agree with all of that. No, just to sort of caveat what I'm saying, like for me, there was no doubt about it. I had to wildcard my team. I didn't want to, but I think like if you were in the position where you were sort of like seeing everyone else wildcard and you're like, oh, do I do it and sort of like follow the herd, or actually no, my team still looks pretty good. And obviously that depends. Like, yeah, for me, I had Haaland. I didn't have Salah. Like
Yeah.
that alone, I had one free transfer. Then I had Cliver. Then I had a few other issues. I had Allison, who didn't play in the end. Trent, I still had. So like it became impossible for me not to wildcard. I really didn't want to, but I mean, yeah. If your hand was forced, I think that's obviously completely fine. I just think like if you were in between and your team still looked good, then not to get pressured by everyone else wildcarding was pretty smart. Because yeah, I mean, you're right. That like Gabriel getting injured, Isak gets injured quite often, but yeah, Gabriel getting injured. You know, the other injuries, nothing else has really happened apart from that. So yeah, I agree with you. Like nothing really, not too much has changed. But yeah, I mean, the team looks good. Let's talk about your actual team now. Let's come to captaincy because you mentioned there that if Isak is fit, and he is an interesting one. I think if I was on wildcard, I still have to have him. I mean, wait for press conference news, but because he's going to have that double game week, I just think it's impossible to avoid because he's going to be, if he's fit, the captain that week. His EO will be over 200%, I'm sure. What do you think about for this week though? If we don't really get any concrete news,
Yeah, again, look, it's tough. It'd be a tough call, right? Because then who would you go instead? I think the template followed right now are still going to be, Marmoush, Isaac, and Mateta. Possibly instead of Mateta, you go for like a Van Listen or a João Pedro if you're short of cash. But like, I guess you can just invest in Watkins early. I mean, but he was benched in the last game. I'm not sure what was going on there. Maybe it was just a kind of quick turnaround. But but yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, like, because it's not only picking him, it's who to captain as well. And I think if we get news that he's a small doubt, or we don't get much news, I still think you've got to go with him. Maybe not captain, but then yeah. So the reason you go for him is not only because the captaincy this week, right? So you might have to get him in, not captain this week, but it's a double in 32. Um, that's the one that you want him for, and you don't want to be, I guess, not going with him in your wild card and then using a transfer to get him in 32 if he is indeed fit for 31. So it's going to be a tough call for Gaming 31 captainers, wild carders.
yeah, I'm not sure where I'm leaning right now. What do you think about Fulham at home as a fixture, just in general? Is that maybe better than we thought it was, or seems on paper compared to a couple of months ago? Fulham not in the best form at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's not an easy game. I still think it's a game that Liverpool should win, possibly score two goals. But the Leicester fixture is just there for the taking. It's
Mm.
they should score at least two or three for me in that game. And then I'd look at possibly Palmer as well. I think the top three contenders for me this week are going to be in order. If they were all fit, would probably be Isaac, Salah, and then Palmer.
Okay.
Um, so if Isaac isn't fit, then you've got Salah and Palmer there who don't have the best fixtures on paper, but the games that they should win. And I guess it just comes down to your risk appetite. Do you want to kind of play safe with Salah? Because I still think he'll probably be the most captained, or at least very over like 130 40% EO. And then Palmer, he's becoming a bit of a differential now.
Yeah. I think if there's any doubt about Isak, I think I'll go Salah because I think Fulham aren't that good. But it's tough. Like I think I said a stat like 2 weeks ago on the Sky Pod, and it's still the same. And I think it's going to be the same forever. Like when did Leicester last score a goal? Unless I'm missing something. But did they score? Have Leicester scored recently?
I'm sure I've seen a stat somewhere that they've not scored in
No,
66
they
days or
haven't.
something.
Yeah, the last time they scored in the Premier League was the 26th of January, which is unbelievable.
So 66 days, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Wow. That's yeah. I seen that on Twitter. A post. I didn't cross check it, but yeah, it seems to be true.
So they've scored. Let me just quickly do this live because it's oh my good. And by the way, it just goes further and further back. So since the 14th of December in the league, Leicester have scored three goals since the
Wow.
14th of December, and that's in about 11 games.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize it was that bad. Like,
Because
I knew
you said earlier in the video Southampton the worst team in the league. I actually just don't think they are anymore. Like, at least Southampton have some sort of way of playing. And I know they got the draw, but like even when they
Hmm.
lose, I still like them as a team. At least they try and do things well, and they have their methods and whatever. But as Leicester, I don't know what they're doing. They just play a back five each week, but all their defenders, all their players, to be honest, are
Yeah.
just pretty bad. Arguably, their players are worse than Southampton's. I mean, at least Southampton
Yeah.
have a bit of quality in in Fernandez and in Walker Peters. That is like I would argue those players are Premier League quality, whereas I don't think Leicester have any Premier League quality players.
Yeah, I think the one player that is probably Mavididi, and he doesn't get a game.
Yeah, I mean he was great last year, but
Yeah, but it does kind of seem they've down tools as well a bit. Like they're just kind of just playing for the sake of it, going through the motions.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich, they're kind of all, not sim. They're all, it's clearly the three worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mean, it's quite close between Southampton and Leicester. I mean, over the season, Southampton have got worse stats, but I think since Roods came in, if you
Oh,
probably check, I'd be interested in checking from there actually what the stats look like
oh,
in
I'm
terms
sure
of like,
Southampton's are better. I mean, that might go down as one of the worst appointments in managerial history. Didn't
yeah,
make any sense to me. Anyway, let's
yeah,
talk about your team and benching dilemmas because a lot of managers, sorry, will have similar sort of players.
yeah,
And I will include the players in my team in this as well, so we can sort of do a ranking in terms of a benching headache. So, according to the My Team tool, Dan Burn is starting ahead of Konza, and Murphy is starting ahead of Rogers. Marmoush also starting ahead of Rogers, as is Sarr, as is Mateta. Gabriel last on your bench. Do you agree with that?
yeah. That's how we've got it at the moment.
Okay.
Got Rodgers first sub, Konsa, and then Gabriel. I mean, I just wildcarded, so I don't need to
Yeah.
deal with Gabriel just yet. So that's another advantage of using the wildcard. You've got a nice bench there. I'm hoping Gabriel's back for 33, but yeah, I'm not sure. It was a hamstring injury, so I might be using the transfer on him. But if I do, I will be in game week 33. The game week that I bench boost in.
Yeah, for me, I don't. I was saying to you off camera, I'm not. I don't think he'll be back for that, which is a shame because he was like a key player, a key Arsenal player
Yeah,
for. Like he's just a lock, isn't he? He was in every draft. We know we were going through it and saying these are the nail players.
yeah,
Gabriel probably was the most nailed of all the nail players, I would argue. I mean, alongside like Salah, he's in that. He's at that sort of level, isn't he? But
yeah,
yeah, not to
definitely.
be. Oh well. Oh well.
Yeah, it was
What do you
annoying. It was annoying. Not as annoying as a 94th minute clean sheet wipeout, but
do?
there we go.
Well, apart from that, I feel like your team is sort of set. I mean, that is the beauty
Yeah.
of post wildcard. You don't often need to do that much. Is the plan now just to keep rolling until you have to do something with your team in
Yeah. I mean,
33?
look, yeah, as I said, I'm really happy with the team. I've got all the players there. The fixtures are there. I plan to roll until game week 33. So if that happens, I'll have five free transfers. Then I plan to bring in three more double game week players, and then have the full roster of 12 double game week players for 33. Obviously, we know that the game week 33 double game week 33 hasn't been announced yet. I think we all expect it to be announced this week. So I'll be City, Villa, Palace, and Arsenal. So yeah, it's looking good on paper. In theory, it's looking good. And I've got a five free transfer, so even if Gabriel's out, I'll have enough transfers there to deal with them.
Yeah. Very, very strong indeed. Looks good to me. I'm not sure there's too much more else to say. Is your chip strategy apart from that still the same in terms of free hit? I mean, I wanted to ask a little bit just about the assistant managers because I know a lot of people out there still have that chip, and whether you have any sort of idea as to when the best time is to use it and when that whether or not that's changed given recent information. But it's only been a few days.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said this before. I think Emery was a good shot, but also I think Glasner, because obviously they've got the game. If you use it this week, you'll get 31, 32, and 33. So you'll cover five fixtures. Four of those fixtures are going to be, no, sorry, three of those fixtures are going to be tail bonus. They are tough games, but I mean, I think at this point in the season, I'd be looking at picking a manager, uh, just the one manager, not making transfers because
Yeah.
maybe want to use your transfers on other, players, double game week players, and and whatnot. So I think Glasner for all three game weeks is, I guess, the safe choice when he's only 0.8 million. He's not that expensive. So kind of just go with it and hope for the best. Palace had a good side. I know that they drew with Southampton, but they've pulled out some good results this season. And you never know.
I think Palace are the sort of team that often do better against better teams anyway.
Yeah, and they've been really good away from home this season.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're looking at City away, Newcastle away, Arsenal away. Would it shock you if they won one of those games? And that's all you sort of need to have a good assistant manager.
Yeah, I mean a draw and a win,
That'd be
against
amazing, yeah.
one of those, and then like the rest of it is just you've kind of made up your points in them two games. So I mean it's worth going for. I mean we saw with the last kind of assistant manager period when people went for Moyes and Emery and Glasner, how profitable it could be. And I think that kind of proves that I wouldn't say it's the way to play the chip, but the way to get the best upside from this chip is obviously just go for the table bonus.
Okay, guys, you can see on screen 5 managers there and their predicted points over the next few game weeks. But when it comes time for you to want to play your assistant manager chip, you can change this little toggle at the top and put it for the game week range that you're going to play it in, and then see how that affects the points. If you wanna access that for your own team and your own assistant manager and see what might be best for your team, then link is down below. I think that's going to do it for this one, mate. Not too much to talk about really in this one. A bit of a transitional week for your team, given that you just wildcarded.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's probably going to be like that for the next few weeks because it's saving, and then I think the next exciting one's going to be, I guess, free hit 34.
There we go. There we go. Well, it'll be interesting to see what you end up doing with Gabriel as well, and when that, when we get more information
Yeah,
there, what happens there. But
yeah,
yeah,
and I'm probably just underestimating. I mean, we'll probably get about 4 or 5 more injuries until next game week, and then I'll be forced into a transfer. Who
yeah,
knows?
that's the thing. Things
This
always will
season,
come up, won't they?
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They're always doing the FPL.
All right, mate. Thank you very much
Thank
anyway.
you.
Guys, if you're in a wild card this week, drop your teams down below just so I can have a look through because I'm interested. I want to see how different your team might be to Abdul's. And yeah, we'll catch you guys all on the next one. Good luck this game week.